Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. 2025 is already shaping up to be an amazing year for music lovers, for audiophiles, for those of us who are knee-deep in this hobby, waist-deep, chest-deep in this hobby. Today I want to talk about a couple of new speakers from Buchardt Audio. Now, Bucardt's from Denmark. I've reviewed many of their speakers in the past. I believe the last review I did for Buchardt Audio was their very slim, unique subwoofer. I also reviewed their A10 powered speakers. I reviewed the, A700 powered speakers. I reviewed the S400 Mark IIs, the P300s. And today I want to talk about what Buchardt is calling their masterpiece. So the E50, you see it right behind me. It's been years in the making, according to Buchardt. This is a speaker that they wanted to produce and create and offer up as their flagship bookshelf passive speaker. So this speaker, when I saw it on the Buchardt website, I was really excited. I loved the look of that sculpted waveguide in the front. So Buchardt says the E50s are made from the finest European oak wood. Now there's no MDF here, there's no veneer. These are solid wood cabinets. And I love the way these look. They have a natural kind of earthy appearance. Now, in the previous speakers from Buchardt, let's just use the S400 Mark II as an example. The waveguide used on the previous Bucardts was a metal. Was it aluminum? Some kind of metal. Now, with the E50, they actually machined this cabinet, the front plate, to have a recessed waveguide carved into the wood itself. And it's such a stunning look. I've never seen this done. It may have been done at some point, but I've never seen it done. And below that soft dome tweeter, which is supplied by Scanspeak, one of the most recognized names in speaker drivers, right? Below that, you have the Purify woofer, which I first heard in Bucardt's A10 powered speaker. And when I heard that A10, I was absolutely floored and blown away by the bass performance of those speakers. They had the sound signature of the S400 Mark II, but the bass was on another planet, another level, and I was dumbfounded as to how these little boxes could do that. What about the bass of the E50s? Now, there's two passive radiators on the back that also help to enhance the bass. These are a sealed design. There's no port on the E50s. Before I get into the bass, the treble, the mid-range, one of the reasons I love solid wood cabinets, and I remember the Fleetwood DeVilles I reviewed 2-3 years ago, they were made of solid wood cabinets as well, or the cabinets were made from solid wood. One of the things I love about a solid wood cabinet such as the Buchardt E50 is they have character, right? When you look at it, you can tell it was created with a passion. It's artistic, it's very unique looking, but the wood itself has character. And if you scratch the wood or scuff the wood, it's not going to look like one of those nasty veneer scratches. It's just going to add character to the cabinet. I love that Buchardt chose to make these with solid wood instead of using veneer and MDF. I also think it helps them to perform better in the sound quality department. So let's talk about the specs of the Buchardt E50 really quick. These are only 85 dB efficient, and when I saw that number, I was like, uh-oh, these are going to be hard to drive. In the past, I haven't really been a huge fan of hard-to-drive speakers. You need big muscle amps, you need big power to get them to sound good. Usually you got to turn them up loud to sound good, but the E50s, when they came and I hooked them up, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, in addition to being 85 dB efficient, these are between 4 and 6 ohms. So any amplifier that is stable into 4 ohms should be a good choice and able to drive the Bucardts. I found them unusually easier to drive than most 85 dB efficient speakers I have had through these doors. I ran them with a 100 watt per channel Niagara Classic, no problem. I ran them with that 500 watt per channel Orchard Audio Stark Crimson Mono Ultra amps I just reviewed here. And I actually preferred that sound with the Buchardt E50s. On the back of the E50s, I love the Argento 5-way binding posts. Now, I saw these on the S400 Mark II Fauna edition. I just love these connectors. They're so easy to use, whether you're using spades or bananas. They're heavy duty. They look like they're made of brass and I believe there's silver contacts or silver wiring inside. But everything about the construction, the looks, the design, the feel of the E50 is top notch. So the black E50s come in at around 39.50 euros. It's another 150 euros if you want to upgrade to one of the colors. I'm not sure of the conversion rates from euros to US dollars, but I'd expect to pay somewhere between 400 and 4,500 for a set of E50s. And that is in no way, not even in the realm of being overpriced. These are worth every penny that you pay for them. So as I said in the past, I have reviewed quite a few Buchardt speakers, and I've gotten used to the Buchardt house sound. Now with the S400, the S400 Mark II, the P300, and the A10 to some extent, they all have that similar Buchardt flavor, right? There's a naturalness, there's an organic kind of tone, there's a little bit of warmth and smoothness in those speakers. All the speakers that have come from Buchardt to date, they're very musical, they're very pleasing. And the reason people love Buchardt speakers is not only for the small size of their bookshelf speakers, the design as well, which is very artistic, but they love that musical performance. Never fatiguing, those S400s, P300s, A10s. What about the E50s? We're now using a scanspeak soft dome tweeter. We're using the Purify woofer that is said to go down to around 38 hertz. Now, the sound of these is completely different from the S400 Mark II, but at the same time, I'm hearing some of that Buchardt flavor. So these are not as soft or laid back, right, or warm as the S400s or any other Buchardt speaker. The E50 from top to bottom is really what Buchardt says it is, a masterpiece, a small speaker with incredible bass, a super clean and clear mid-range. There's no haziness here in the vocal region, in that mid-region. It's really clear. The clearest Buchardt speaker I've ever heard. The treble is so extended compared to the S400 series or the P300, what has come before. The tweeter here, the treble performance is stunning. And I was having memories of the Dynaudio Heritage Special, which comes in at around $7,000. I think these stand toe-to-toe with that speaker and maybe even surpass it in the overall sound quality department. And that's pretty impressive for a 4K speaker. So the treble is really detailed, and these image really, really well. The imaging performance of these, we all know bookshelf speakers can disappear pretty easily in a space when well set up. These can absolutely disappear. And the one thing I noticed for the first time in a Buchardt speaker is the soundstage width was wider than I've ever heard, but also there was depth action going on. So front to back soundstage and imaging going on, meaning I can hear the drummer a couple feet behind the singer, right? That's pretty amazing in this price point and this size. Let's talk about the bass a little bit. Now, if it's in the recording, this thing is going to kick it and you're going to hear it and might even feel it. But overall, this is not a tubby, overblown bass kind of speaker or performance. As I said, this offers up a very clean and clear mid-range performance. So there's not a big mid-bass hump that some speakers have, which also warm up the sound. Instead, you're hearing every detail. There's three-dimensional imaging to some extent going on, and these sound like a pretty high-end speaker at a mid-level price. I mean, yeah, $4,000 is a lot of money, and it's a lot of money to me, but man, I've heard speakers that cost $10K that I think these best. So not only do they look amazing, not only are they built to a high standard, Buchardt also upped their game in the crossover department here. The crossover is using all high quality parts. They really did a fantastic job of engineering and designing this speaker. And I'm happy to call it their masterpiece because it absolutely is. Now, compared to the S400 Mark II, these have more energy. They have more aliveness. They sound more live. They have better bass performance. They have a treble that is more extended, but it still has a little bit of smoothness, so it doesn't ever cross over into that harsh or hard territory. There's nothing gray, about these speakers. There's nothing veiled about these speakers, yet at the same time, they just have a wholesome, beautiful flow about them. Very musical, but way more detailed than Buchards of the past. So again, versus the S400 Mark II, more alive, more dynamic. The transient response is lightning quick with the E50s, yet they never sound sterile and they never sound lean. And that's one thing I've noticed so far this year in reviewing speakers. Speakers that have come to me, none of them have really sounded lean or strident. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, I used to hear a lot of speakers like that. I'm really glad that manufacturers are really upping their game. And you would think speakers have been around a long, long time. The golden age of audio is considered the 70s, right? I'm calling the golden age of audio right here, right now in 2025, because when you have products like the E50 that come out and all of these other passionate people creating amazing audio, it is just a wonderful time, as I said earlier. So what else can I tell you about the Buchardt E50s? I've been listening to them for several weeks. I've listened to all genres of music. I've listened to everything from heavy metal, thrash metal, rock and roll, bluegrass, EDM, jazz standards, jazz vocals, classical, chamber music. I try to listen to a little bit of everything. And the Buchardt E50s are a solid performer all the way around. I never heard my music sound bad or crappy. It just sounded full of life, full of energy, very musical, big wide open soundstage. And that's the thing about the E50s. They're much more open than what has come before from Buchardt. So they're ticking those audiophile boxes. They're ticking those high-end speaker boxes, yet they still sound comfortable. They still sound like home, right? I love Buchardt as a company. I love what they're doing. I love how they're doing it with the direct sales model. You're not going to find a dealer for Buchardt. If you did, these would probably be $8,000 or $9,000. So they use the direct sales method. You go to their website, you order, you get a 10-year warranty with the E50s. 10-year warranty. I think they give you at least a 30-day, maybe longer trial. So if you don't like it, you can send it back. They ship super quick. I think it's like 2-3 days in the US, and you should have your speaker mostly anywhere. Should be 2 to 3 days, 4 or 5. I can't imagine these taking longer than a week to get to anyone. I was listening to some Dire Straits. I haven't listened to Dire Straits in a couple of years now. I used to listen to them quite often. I kind of got tired of them. But I was listening to You and Your Friend, a great track from Dire Straits. And this one is such a clear recording, and you hear every detail in the guitar notes and every little nuance of the guitar playing. And the guitar solos here are what stand out to me. On the Buchardt E50s, they were filling the space, and each guitar note, each guitar pluck, I should say, had a beautiful timbre. And that's one thing I can say about these speakers. The timbre of instruments is really, really well done. It's really close to the actual instrument. There were times I was in here and I was like, wow, that sounds like a piano is really in the room. That's another thing that's hard for little speakers to do right. Piano. These can do piano really, really well. But going back to the Dire Straits, it was kind of a breathtaking performance, very open, very real, getting close to that realism of, wow, they're right here with me. But that guitar, the solos just sounded out of this world. I've heard that song maybe 200 times, and this is one of the coolest, best performances I've heard from that recording. I was streaming from Tidal, going into an Eversolo A6 Gen 2 Master Edition, which was going into those Orchard Audio Mono Ultra amps. And it was just unlimited power, effortless music coming from the speakers, and each note just kind of came out into the air, into the space. It was cool to see a Buchardt speaker imaging and doing the soundstage thing so well. And I know that they worked on that and they have succeeded. Sometimes I like to sit back here and throw on some Enya. Now, I used to listen to Enya quite a bit. I used to meditate or relax and just focus on life and goals, and I would have Enya playing in the background. But I threw on And Winter Came, which is one of my favorite albums from her. I guess you can kind of call it a Christmas album in a way, but it's not really like a Christmas album. But I was listening to Journey of the Angels, and when Enya's vocals start, they're haunting with the E50s. I mean, she's about a foot in front of the speakers in the middle of my room, and her voice, you can hear every little detail in the voice, and the music just soothes all around in that big enveloping sound stage. It's just a beautifully recorded track, and the vocals here really stand out. On the E50, Enya sounds so real and in the room, and the music behind her kind of swells up, and the bass performance is just making everything sound solidified, and there's weight, right? So really beautiful performance. I scanned through some other Enya songs I know, beautiful with the female voice, the E50. I then threw on Johnny Cash live in Folsom Prison. I listened to the whole thing. I love this album. I used to listen to it on vinyl a lot. And there he was in the room, you know, every clean and clear pluck of those guitar strings from Johnny, as simple as his music is and was back in the day, it still can hit you, right? It can still make you move and make you think. And I enjoyed hearing every little sound in that prison from the guys watching, right? For every little noise that you can hear, it was so clear with the E50, but there was enough bass to fill out everything, so it never sounded strident or thin. So overall, the E50s are kick butt, man. They are awesome little speakers, and that's the key word. They're bookshelf size, but yet they pack a huge punch. Audio's getting really good, guys, and I want to thank Buchardt for sending these out to me to review them. I hope you enjoyed this review. I also have a written review of the E50s on my website. I'll put a link in the description below to that. I'll put a link in the description to Buchardt's website, and I will state right now, this was not a sponsored video or review. I was not paid for this review. And yeah, I guess I'll end it there. I thank you all. I love you all. Be sure to thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I say that all the time, but if you guys could really do that, that would really help this channel. Just hit that subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. The more comments you leave, the more YouTube spreads these videos around. So leave a comment. Tell me what you think about the E50. Have any of you bought the E50? Do any of you own the E50? Let me know in the comments below. All right. I thank you all. I love you all. I will see you in the next one. Bye.